All right, it is Friday, June 10th in the nation's capital. What a beautiful, almost summer day. We're almost in the summer, Riggo. Had a rip-roaring time last night at the USO Gala. John's going to get into that and a whole bunch more. Here's Riggo.
Thank you, Todd. By the way, my air conditioning's out on the car. I called the guy and said I was going to bring it in. I never did, so it is a summer day. But it isn't too bad yet. I mean, I think it's going to be in the 80s today, but it gets up in the 90s.
Yeah, get that humidity back, and you're going to need it.
Yes, I'm finally kind of coming out of the cobwebs. I got to bed about 1:30, I guess it was. But last night was a big gala for the USO local for the National Capital, North Capital District, which my wife, Lisa Marie, happens to be the executive director. I think I got that right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the big cheese.
It's hard to say. First of all, now that she's the executive director, they kind of shifted the way the program has been run over the years, and it really hopped along very nicely. Because I went to it in December, and there was kind of an old format, but this new format, I think, is much better. Where they recognize the service people of the year, and you go through all the different branches of the military, and that includes the National Guard.
And Space Force.
Space Force. Space Force is a National Guard is too, for that matter, but they're actually like a division of the Army in a way. And that's kind of weird. Where the Marines and the Navy, the Marines are under the Navy,
right,
umbrella, but yet they're separate. And of course, then Coast Guard's even separate from that. And like you said, Air Force, Space Force, different. I mean, there's all these little nuances or whatever. But there was a lot, and you hear the stories of the people that receive these awards and the things that they did to receive them.
So John, to explain to everybody, and if I got this correct, basically for every branch, Army, Navy, Air Force, there was a recipient that basically was the Soldier of the Year.
Yeah, that type of thing, I guess.
Right.
That'd be about the best way to describe it. For various, give you an example, there was a woman there who was in Afghanistan. Right. When they were, when everybody was trying to get out of the country. And, she was there and tried to keep things together in the chaos with the kids.
Children.
Yes. And the things that they were doing to get their children out, and that some of the stuff that wasn't known is, some of the men were actually taking kids, like kidnapping them.
Yes.
So that they could have a child, so they could get through and get on a plane and get out of there.
Some of the mothers,
right, were hurting
their children,
injuring
because
them.
if the children were hurt, and they would get medical attention, and you see this just awful imagery of handing the child over the barbed wire to the American soldiers,
right,
to basically save their kids' lives.
Right. Well, and then some of the guys were looking out for old number one. Here, you come with me, little guy.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
I got a child here. I get to go through.
But the stories were pretty amazing and very uplifting. And again, you just give thanks to those that serve, right?
And well, there's no question about that, because I've always said this, and I'll say it again, because it's what I said last night, and it really, because I had like 2 minutes. I introduced the entertainment last night, which was Bryan of Hootie and the Blowfish, which that would be Mark right there.
There's Mark.
Oh yeah, we got this is the what do you call it? The Murderer's Row right here. Jeff Bostic, Donnie Warren, the knucklehead, the other knucklehead, Mark Bryan, and of course Joe Jacoby. And
you guys did a tremendous job.
I was going to say, I thought that they were just. I used a teleprompter, and what's really weird is, I told people, well, I'm going to screw this up, count on that, and I wrote it. And that teleprompter, I don't know. It's like there wasn't enough on there. I'm going. I think in your mind when you're doing something, and you're going, they left something out there. That was something else in there, or they chopped something. Because I don't even know now, after the fact, I don't even know what I said, basically.
Well, Lisa Marie's like, do not stray from the script, John.
Yeah, well, I didn't get too far off of it, though. I knew better than to do that.
You guys killed it.
But what I wanted to say was that, this is where, and I don't know if it's an irony or not, there is an irony involved here, which I can get into in just a second. But I think that over the years, and I was talking to Greg Gatson, who's a colonel, and he actually was, I think it was Fort Belvoir. He was the commander of Fort Belvoir. He's a double amputee, just below the hips, and he served as the commander down there, he wanted to stay on. He went to the West Point, went to the military academy.
He is one impressive gentleman.
Yeah, he is. You know, and it's funny. He played linebacker for Army. And I swear to God, and I see him, I see Harry Carson. Doesn't he look similar to Harry?
He sure does. He sure does.
They look very, very similar. But anyway, I was talking to him, and I'll get into his conversation in a second if my mind will work correctly. But what I was going to say is, over the years, and he was the one that was talking about how, you know, the sports, because I brought it up, the press, you know, to glamorize, and I guess that's the way you do it, but it seems like a little perverted to me. You know, how you got all the blitz and you got the bombs and you got the ground attack and you got the air attack and it's all these references to military things, you know, which when you stop to think about it, and like I say, it's to glamorize and create heroes, sports heroes.
Right.
But I always wonder when you do that we have to stop and think about that for a second and truly understand, make a demarcation that's fantasy, and that's, you know, and it's fine to have fantasy, and you know, it's like what's his name, Stan Lee, Superman, whatever, you know,
right.
You know, the cartoons
Marvel.
and all that. But that's what you're really dealing more with that. And as I said, so when they call people warriors, you know, they go, oh, that guy, he's a real warrior. You get him out on the field, and boy, I'm telling you what, I'm almost, myself personally, I'm almost offended by it, because you have to understand what a real warrior is. That you know, this isn't in the fantasy world where you practice, you know, 3 hours a day on your jump shot and do all these different things. This is real. The differences between the two camps is striking as far as athletes and like I say, real warriors. That, you know, if you want to call athletes drugstore warriors, I'm all in on that one, because that's the reality. And I think that's what the difference is. You have reality and you have fantasy. One is entertainment and one is to save your ass when you're sleeping at night so the bad guys don't come and get you. And I'd like to see a change there a little bit and start thinking more of who the real heroes are and where the real homage should be paid. I mean, you know, and paid is a key word, because for what these people do, for what they subject themselves to, compared to the lavish lifestyles that people like myself have been allowed to live because of what they've done. That's kind of, you got to take a lot of that stuff in, and when you do, you know, you can get a little knot in your throat.
Yeah. It's so many things we take for granted. And it's nights like, Memorial Day was just not that long ago. And I tell people, I said, don't forget the reason for the season, because too many people, there's going to be a great sale going on, or we got the day off, or whatever, not truly appreciating and understanding why we have that time off.
You know, it's funny you bring that up. Now, Jason Whitlock, who's a writer that I read, and you do too for that matter, do you remember what he wrote here about 3 weeks ago about Memorial Day?
I sure do.
Which I didn't know. I mean, you know, it's like when you read Jason, you kind of get a little bit of a history lesson along the way. But I believe it had something to do with South Carolina, where a bunch of the freed slaves got together to show their appreciation for the Union,
right?
For freeing them. That's
right.
I've always thought, and it originally was called Decoration Day, and I do remember that. I'm old enough to remember when it was Decoration Day, and somewhere along the way it became Memorial Day, because I remember my parents referencing that. But it also, like anything else over the years, has morphed into a Memorial Day for all lost loved ones. And so, you know, because, you know, everybody, usually there's flowers put on graves, not just military people, but everybody in general. But anyway, you know, it's very humbling to be around. I've always felt that way, and I've always felt, because of what I was saying last night, you know, when in 1971, my lottery draft number for the Selective Service was 145, and I was, my lottery or my draft number for the NFL was number 6, and for whatever reason, I never got called. I was what you call, I was right in the middle. You could have went either way.
Do you recall? Was it a random, almost like ping pong balls coming out?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, if I'm not mistaken.
That's okay.
You know how they got them blowing around?
Right, like a lottery, literally a lottery.
Well, that's what it was, exactly. And so I was never called, but I also understood, and you know, you can say what you want about Vietnam. obviously years gone by and hindsight's 100%. You kind of go, really?
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of, well, that wasn't such a great
But when
idea.
you're called in
Yeah.
the heat, and when it counts, and you don't get to, have your own political leanings or whatever,
Right.
for your call of duty.
Yeah, and you kind of get into there's many ways of looking at that, but I was, my dad was a Marine. He was on a communication ship in the Pacific. Like I tell people, I don't even think they had a gun on his ship, and yet I think every night he was like.
Well, my dad was in the Navy in the Midwest. He never saw a body of water.
Well, they got the Great Lake Naval Academy or something up there. So, well, you're in the Great Lakes, but let's face it, there's not a lot of action up there. If there is, we's in trouble.
We can take those Canadians.
But anyway, I was brought up in somewhat of a patriotic fashion, and so when Vietnam rolled around, you're torn. It's like your country, and you don't. And what nobody really understands, at least I didn't, as I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day about it, is politics involved in all this stuff. You're brought up that your country says to do this, you got to do this, and you get a little older, you go, I don't know, was that such a good idea?
Right, right.
I mean, it clearly is going on today in this world.
Well, you see it through.
And I don't want to get deep into politics.
Right.
I just want to try to give you an idea of what my mindset was back in 1971, 22 years old. And you got Vietnam, and it wasn't really anything that I was looking forward to doing. But if push would have come to shove, that's what would have had. If I'd have got called, I'd have gone. And I have to say, by not going, I always felt like that there was a debt that I would never be able to repay, which is true. And that is, every time I'm around the military and know what these people do and what they face and the sacrifices that they make, you can't help but feeling like a second-class citizen, because you're not where they are. They are elite. It goes back to when when humans came out of the cave. There were dinosaurs, I guess. Well, maybe not dinosaurs. We're not that old. But maybe woolly mammoths. Yes, there were woolly mammoths.
Okay, I'll work with you.
And so, somebody had to have a pair of gonads and go out there and
I'm
say,
taking them out.
I get that woolly mammoth, damn it. And then there was on the other side of the mountain, there were the bad guys over there that was wanting, they wanted to come over.
Troglodytes. He wanted your woman.
Exactly where I was going with that. They want to come over and get with my women, and I ain't going to have it either. So somebody's got to step to the fore. And that's what these folks do, the men and the women. And I'm telling you, they are an impressive bunch. And it shifts every day. I was talking to Sergeant Major Troy Black, who's a Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. That is the highest position, enlisted position you can get in the Marine Corps, Sergeant Major. And he's telling me it's constantly schooling. Techniques and things that are going on, it's like this. It's like a cell phone. There'll be a new app out here, and another two, well, probably as I'm speaking, a new app's coming out. Or there'll be a new addition to the cell phone. Warfare and all this stuff just keeps evolving in ways that you can't keep up with. So there's a lot of training, and this is, our folks are an elite fighting corps. And it's stunning to me, once again, I don't want to get too far afield here but you take Ukraine and you take Russia. Now, I got to be honest with you, when I thought about, when they started that stuff, I said, well, those poor Ukrainians.
Right.
It's well over 100 days now, and they're kicking the Russians' butt.
It's street fighting now.
And to me, I'm thinking, I mean, am I being, hypnotized here? Because it makes me think that Russia, that's all you got?
Well, that's why I believe Putin in his twisted, warped mind has gone down this path, because it's not the great Russia that it once was. And, their GDP, their entire game it hasn't been good for a long time.
Well,
like I said, everybody thought they were just going to come in and mop the floor and be a really awful situation.
Well, that's what I thought, didn't everybody?
Yeah.
In all
Mighty
honesty,
Russia.
Because I was thinking, or I was watching some of a documentary here the other night. It was kind of like Liston and Clay. It's like, how long is Clay going to last? And the next thing you know, he ends up kicking Sonny Liston's butt. But yeah, that's an example of that. But to get back to last night, it was at the MGM Grand. Is that what they call it down there? The MGM Grand, or just the MGM?
Just the MGM.
Okay. It was down at the MGM Casino. Really great affair. They did a great job. You know, I was amazed. The food was pretty damn good.
Oh, food.
The
food
salad, I was
terrific.
like blown away.
The salad looked good.
They came in, yeah, I figured you should have eaten it, Todd. At least eaten
I
the
ate the
mozzarella.
cheese. I did. I ate the mozzarella.
Okay,
The
well,
mozzarella.
That's from hanging out at North Italian.
And John, how about first off the color guard presentation, the fife and drum guys coming back like from the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
And the color guard presentation, and then that national anthem by that saxophone player gave you goosebumps. I mean, it was extraordinary.
Especially his ending.
Oh my gosh.
He had that one note he must have hit for a minute.
Yeah, just
and then I think, without taking a breath, finished it out.
Yeah.
It was like one big breath.
Yeah.
I thought he was showing off personally.
It's coming from an old tuba player.
It's true. Old tuba player. Oh, I don't think he could have held that note that long with a tuba. I want to see the man that could do that. Andre the Giant would have struggled to hold it that long. But anyway, and then we were treated. We were pointing out Mark Bryan, who's a local guy here. I think he's
Silver
from
Spring.
Is it Silver Spring?
Well, no.
It's in that area.
Yeah. He's a
local
Maryland
kid.
guy.
And he was in his glory here because these are his childhood heroes when he was growing up around here. And you got to figure, because he's that perfect age. I think he probably was late.
He was born in '67.
Yeah, so he would have been right in high school, or
You guys were it for him.
And we got to talk. We sat there, Joe and Donnie. I don't know where Jeff was, and he may have come over later, but they were, going through a few old war stories, and I could see he was just, like he was like a little kid in a candy shop. He was just sitting there listening, taking it all.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? I was like him too, listening to their war stories, because I don't remember them. They got to talking about, all the stuff in the huddle, and I'm going, man, I don't remember anything in the. I'm just like, hey, let's get this thing over with, man.
You guys want me going left, right, or middle?
Exactly. So it was a great night, and like I said, there's some great people. When you see the military, tip your hat to them.
100%. Congratulations, Lisa Marie Riggins.
Yes, she did a great job.
Tremendous job. A great night.
It was really a nice evening. It really was. It was very much, and I think she kind of stole a little bit from the Oscars. You know what I'm saying? I think that was the kind of program that she put on, and it worked. It was good. Hopefully they'll stay with that format for a while. All right, Todd, let's get down to serious business now. Not that that's not serious
Can
business.
I borrow some money? I got to fill up my gas. My tank. I got to get some gas.
You don't even want to know. I went last week, and I didn't even think it was that low. I took my truck. It's a what is it? 5.7 liter Ram, right? I think that's what it is. So I mean, it's got horsepower, but I didn't even think. I thought the thing was down, but I thought, well, I might as well fill it up with gas here, and I went and I got 18 gallons, I think it was. And do you have any idea what I paid for 18 gallons of gas?
I know you shop around a little bit, and even if you were at Costco or someplace.
No,
like
I
that.
wasn't. So keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and it was mid-grade, by the way. It wasn't regular.
You're showing off a little bit, huh? Mid-grade.
I got that one car I got to put, primo in. So
I'm gonna say $94.
Tried. I paid $123 for a tank of gas.
It just pisses you off, right?
I mean, and most people are like this, I think. You tell me if you are. You pull out a credit card and you pay for something, it's like, yeah, okay. There are exceptions, and this is what we're talking about here. But you pull cash out and you pay for something. It's like, you pull $200 out of your pocket.
It makes you mad.
Huh? And
It's a different feeling.
It's a completely different feeling. And I paid for this with a credit card, don't get me wrong. But when I thought something was wrong. I did. I thought something was wrong with my truck, that there's got to be a hole in the tank. It can't be this. Seriously, I thought gas was running out on the ground.
Yeah, I know.
It was like, I don't believe this. I've never paid over $100. Years ago, when we were living in New York and gas got really expensive, and we had a place in Montauk, we'd go all the way out there. Now, for whatever reason, when you move east on Long Island, the gas just keeps going up. About every 20 miles, it goes up a dime a gallon. By the time you got out there, I remember it was about $5 a gallon back in those days.
Yeah.
But now now I think around here, I think there's places where it's over $6 a gallon. And I know in California.
Oh, in Maryland for sure, because all the extra taxes.
Exactly. And that's.
It's California. There's a couple that are over $10 now.
It is
in
10.
Northern California.
Here's something that's funny. Well, it's not funny, but I couldn't wrap my brain around it back then. When I went to Zimbabwe hunting back in 1980, what would have been 85. Spring of 85, in March, we went over to Zimbabwe. And I remember these guys were telling me, the hunters, the PHs over there, they were paying, in 1985, $8 a gallon for diesel fuel. But now I'm starting to think they were Zim dollars. It must have been something, because that's 40 years ago. It's almost 40 years ago. So basically, this inflation, you got to love it.
It's not good. It is not good.
We were taking a bath on that. Now, once again, let's take it to the next level. Yesterday, Todd, I finally put my little diabolical plot into action. And this is kind of, I told you, about that, the grow lights I bought here a while back, right? Which obviously, when you come downstairs, you're going, he's growing weed. No, I'm not growing weed, okay? Just for the record. Yet, okay? I will qualify it yet.
If gas keeps going up, a brother's got to have a side hustle.
I need to have the weed for myself so I can deal with the price gases. No, I started some tomato plants. I got to tell you, this is what I don't get. They're the worst looking tomato plants I've ever grown. In the past, when you grow them by a window, and we have a southern exposure, they all tip towards the window, and they get what they call leggy, long and spindly, and that kind of stuff. So I thought, well, I don't want to do that anymore. So I put a sizable investment into this grow lamp. I mean, it's JP5. It's like rocking with about 800 horsepower. Just dying to get you on the street. And I don't know what happened. I think possibly that I used some old trays from last year, and I thought I disinfected them, but I just kind of dipped them in the Clorox. They should have let them soak for a while, maybe, because I'm thinking maybe a virus got into them. But anyway, so I got these nasty-looking tomato plants, but they're still alive. They're still like, give me another. Okay, here.
Come on, man.
You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay.
Man.
Give me a little spray of this, and I'll see you in the morning, okay? But anyway, I finally got some of them transplanted in the last couple of days, but they've been unprotected. Now, here's the other part of this issue. The lovely Lisa Marie is like, where are you going to plant them plants? It's like, it's all of a sudden, it's like, because I had this one area, and I don't think she was feeling that area, and then I'm thinking about this other area, and she wasn't. So I kind of, by the process of elimination, I went, okay, I'll plant them where I planted them last year, because they don't get a lot of sun over here. You
better be careful now, because the gala's over, so she's going to have a lot more free time. So
don't remind me of it. Although she'll be. I don't know how much I can get out of it. It's like in politics, when something happens, they get a bounce out of it. She's going to get a bounce out of the gala. How long it'll last, I don't know.
Never let a bad situation.
So I put up. My electric fence around it yesterday.
Oh.
I started the day before, and I finally completed it pretty much. I got one more wire to go. I had to quit only because I had to get dressed and go to Gala, which I'll get into that. I'll go back into that here in a second. But I think, I've watched too many movies, because I think in terms of all the movies and the lines from movies a lot of times that I see, and I'm thinking of Scarface. And I'm thinking at the end of the movie when Al Pacino got the machine gun and say hello to my little friend. I'm thinking at about 4 o'clock this morning, this morning it was, where if I'd have been there with, with what do you call it, night goggles on, so I could see infrared vision, it would have been, say hello to my little friend, you dear. Check this out. And Rocky. If Rocky's the tomato eater, he ain't getting
Rocky the raccoon. Well,
Rocky,
we'll be checking him. We got it. He comes back on the exact date, plus or minus 24 hours.
You're
for the
right.
last number.
It's stunning.
Remember, we have tracked that, and I've got the photos.
Yeah, it is stunning.
But
now, so I've got that set up, and I'm really happy. But getting back into the gala last night, just for a second, but it's actually in preparation. I wanted to leave the house at 6 o'clock, and everything was going like clockwork, and all of a sudden I can't find my bow tie, right, for my tuxedo. First of all, I was a little bit nervous that the tuxedo might not fit. I don't remember last time I wore it, and a lot of times you put it, I can't button it. The first thing is I had a brand new tuxedo shirt, and I'm going, damn, I had it made, and so it's like, oh, damn, I can't believe they screwed this collar up. It's too tight. I can't get it on. And then I finally did, and it was fine. It was like, because I already knew what was coming. So then I get through the sweating out the coat and the pants. That was fine. The shirt I put it on, but now Lisa Marie gave me years ago some studs and cufflinks for tuxedo for formal wear. I don't know who invented this stuff. The studs are bad enough, but the cufflinks, and I've done it before by myself in the past. They're insane. They're connected. They're little flat. They almost look like little tiny surfboards connected by a chain. And you got to slide. There's 4. You got to go through
studs.
You got to go through
links.
4 layers of cloth with buttonholes in it. It's insane.
I'm so glad to hear you say it because I wrestled with mine for 15 minutes.
Oh, mine was I had to call Coco.
I couldn't, and because. And then it slips, and then I got 3 layers.
And you know what? In the past, the way this normally works, but thank God it was a decent. It wasn't that hot yesterday. By the time I get done putting on my cufflinks, I'm drenched in sweat. It's like, I really feel like going out now. It's like
played the first half.
Yeah, it was not cool at all. But anyway, I finally got it on. Everything worked out. It worked out fine, but I was a little, and the worst part was I was anticipating it. I'm going to have to put those cufflinks on. I was also thinking to myself, well, of course I'd look like the groob that I am, but I went, oh, what the hell? I'll just wear some other cufflinks. Nobody ever knows the difference. And the other thing was I was wrestling with, I couldn't tell for sure, I was wrestling with my socks. I think the first pair I pulled out were navy blue.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, and I take them out, and I got them. I'm going to, I better go back and look. And sure enough, they were navy blue. And then I get there last night, and my pants, I feel like I'm walking on the cuffs. That somehow I've gotten, my legs have gotten shorter, and the pants are too long. And at that moment, I'm thinking, well, nobody would have noticed if you'd had on navy blue socks. Nobody's going to be looking at your feet. That's what I was telling myself, and I'm going, nope, better do it the right way, because if somebody sees them and LM finds out that I'm out of uniform.
Now, check this out. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out at our good buddy, Jake, black tie, black tie, black tie, no black tie.
Well, Bosco.
And Bosco, actually, Bosco, that's a suit too.
Yeah.
So, lovely wife Irene, she said, I'll take the heat for this one. I didn't realize it was black tie and Jake. Now, about a month ago, I was at the Joe Gibbs Youth for Tomorrow Gala with Coach Gibbs, and his wife Pat came up, and Ron Rivera, Coach Rivera, he came up and spoke for a little bit. It was another nice gala, raised a lot of money for his Youth for Tomorrow home. But Ron Rivera was the only one in black tie, a non-black tie event. So he had a great line when he got up there, and he's looking around. He's the only one in the tux, and he's like, "Yeah, I just didn't get the memo."
I'd rather be that way. I think.
Right.
I don't know.
That's which way I was going.
But I also like Jake's style too, because I don't. It's just my problem over the years, and we got a couch in here. I got to lay down. I need to get something off my chest. My dad warped my mind. That's why it's really interesting, because next time if I get a speaking part at the Gala, I got to talk about why I'm not in the military, and I think it's got a little something to do with authority figures. And I'm thinking to myself, I would have told me, I said, well, I probably would have been a decent soldier if they could have, kept me out of the brig, but I probably said, I don't think that's a good idea, Sergeant. Why the hell would I want to do that?
Yeah.
You, to the brig.
Yeah.
Out of here.
This ain't the head coach giving you a little grief.
Yeah. I think, though, it's interesting. It goes one of two ways. The military either gets your mind right, because a lot of times a fella starts it out and his mind is not right, or you end up in the brig until that might help you get your mind right. And then Uncle Sam just goes, you know what? We know about guys like you. You get the hell out of here. And you're dishonorably discharged, by the way. Well, Toddy, I've had about all the fun I can stand. I'm awake. I'm actually got a little energy going. I thought I was going to be a deadhead this morning, but I feel good. Go do a little shopping and get back and see if I got any deer wrapped up in my electric fence.
Venison steak for all.
It might be. All right, this is me, the big guy, Riggo, out.